I'd like to welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Software Spotlight, your front row seat to the latest innovations in software for small business. I'm Michael Burnswag, your host, and each week we're joined by executives at leading software companies to get an insider's perspective on the emerging technologies, business strategies, and market trends shaping the future. Tune in and stay ahead of the curve, leveraging the latest in software to boost productivity and growth in your business. Be sure to visit our website, softwareoasis.com, to access our free weekly newsletter and sign up for our upcoming 2024 webinar series. Joining us today, we have Roland Leitenberg. He's a serial entrepreneur passionate about finding scalable growth channels. As co-founder at Housecall Pro, Roland helped build an all-in-one field service management platform, which is used by over 40,000 home service professionals and businesses. Leveraging his background in growth marketing and innovation, Roland continues to rapidly expand Housecall Pro's suite of SaaS solutions that help local service professionals streamline operations and scale their businesses. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Michael. It's great.
And I was hoping a lot of our listeners have been following this solution. I know it's been a journey since you founded the company in 2013. And obviously, as of late, we've seen some pretty rapid growth, and that's quite a user base. I was hoping you could help us understand how the solution helps these home service professional businesses, and give us a little bit of background on yourself.
Sure. So what we've built is an all-in-one tool for plumbers, HVAC, carpet cleaners, handyman, garage door, septic, tree care, all kinds of different home service professionals run the entirety of their business in one platform. When we founded the company back in 2013, we noticed there just weren't any products that were geared towards service professionals that were mobile and on the go. And if you guys remember back in 2013, it had only been about 4 or 5 years since iPhone came out. There still weren't a lot of apps and things. And we thought, hey, wouldn't it be nice if they could run their entire office from their back pocket? And so that's when we launched our app back in 2015 out into the market. And ever since then, we've been helping pros just streamline and getting everything from their scheduling, their dispatching, their invoicing, their customer database, their marketing, their websites, their payroll, just all of these components all into one simple app that all talk to one another, rather than having pros having to have all kinds of different apps and all kinds of different software to kind of try to pull it all together.
That's fantastic, because I think of a relative who was actually a plumber, and at the end of the day, his focus is on his customers, his focus is on his business, his crew. Tech is not exactly his forte, nor his focus of what he wants to be doing with his day. He really wants to make sure has everything optimized. He's getting out there, maximizing the number of calls that he and his crew are able to do each week, and take care of his customers.
Yeah, we see that often. Most of our customers, still a majority, are coming from some version of pen and paper, and some is actual literal pen and paper, triplicate paper. But oftentimes they'll have stitched together maybe some solution with like a Google Calendar, with a Square Reader, with a QuickBooks, with like a MailChimp. They have all these different pieces of software they're trying to kind of put together, and then when they come home after a hard day of work, that's when they got to start building their invoices. That's when they got to go start building their proposals. They got to follow up their customers. And so with Housecall Pro, on average, our users are using our platform about 8.5 hours every day. What that means is that when they come home, they've already done all the things, because it happens in real time, right in the platform, as they're out in the truck, during windshield time, between customer visits. So that way they don't come home to that stack of papers. And so those are definitely some of the reason pros use us. In the last couple of years, we've been really rounding out kind of our business solutions suite, which allows us to do things like payroll, offer 401k and benefits, websites. We have Housecall Pro Assist, which is our call answering solution. So for those plumbers, maybe like your relative that want to take a break on the weekends, or they want to take a break after hours, we can handle those phone calls for them so that they don't miss any calls. They don't have to have any downside of not answering their phone. And so with all of this, it all just speaks to one easy platform. And because it's in the cloud, if you lose your phone in a tragic accident, if you flush it down the toilet, it doesn't matter. Buy yourself a new phone, or hopefully rescue that phone and then just log back in, and everything's going to be right where you left off.
Neat. So it sounds like it takes a lot of the stress out of running a small business, which clearly can be a very challenging thing to do, and especially with a small scaling business, to be able
Yeah.
to to have the tools in place.
Yeah, I would say one of the key differentiator between us and any other software that's out there is just the ease of use. So when a lot of folks come over to us, the app and both the mobile app and our web platform, they feel really familiar. And the reason why they feel really familiar is because they're built around what's called this material framework. And material design is what Google uses. And so if you use any Google product, which is 99% of the folks here in the United States, Canada too,
Right.
you're going to come there and you'll be like, oh, I know what this button does. I know what to expect. You're not really going to understand why it's so easy, but we've made it super simple. And so a great story I like to tell is we have one of our super pro users. His name is Jason Julian. And way back when, I think maybe it was 4 or 5 years ago, I think maybe like 5 years ago, he came to us and he was actually a technician working for his boss. And his boss had told him, hey, Julian, you got to get us, into the digital era. We're still using triplicate paper. So he did a bunch of research. He came back to the boss and he presented him with Housecall Pro. And the boss said, you know what? I don't know a thing about this, but I trust you. You got to go implement this in the business and let's make it work. And that's
Sure.
actually when I met Julian. He joined our Facebook community. It's one of the unique things about Housecall Pros. We've got a community with over 22 or 23,000 pros just in one group, and they're all asking each other, all kinds of questions about business, about Housecall Pro, helping one another out. I met him there,
Sure.
and then we had a mastermind, which is one of our conference sessions that we have. Met him in person, shook his hand, and he's like, Roland, I implemented Housecall Pro in the business. It's growing. And then I'd say about, 6 months later, I get a call from him. He says, you know what? The boss just wants to go back to pen and paper. You can't figure this thing out, but you know what? He kind of likes it. Well, like, what's my advice? And I said, you know what? Honestly, you know how to do it. Why don't you start your own business? And so
Right.
he actually ended up leaving and starting his own business. And now today, I think he's got probably around 8 to 10 trucks out there. It's a multi-million-dollar business called Jason Julian, Julian Heating and Air, and he's got a successful business. And what happened was he just started leveraging the tech tools that we gave him, and he used every single feature that Housecall Pro had to offer. And he was a great understudy of what it takes to implement, actually use a software, and he just turned on all the things and just did what he did best, which was
And
running an HVAC business. And he was just a great technician and he had great customer service, and he really wanted to be the boss that he never had. And so now he's got a successful, thriving, multi-million-dollar business. And it really came down to is just Housecall Pro is really easy to use for him, really easy for him to implement. He could go leave, start a new business, hire people on board, train them on it, and just go. All in just a couple years. I think this whole process probably took 4 years or so. But to go from someone working for someone else, at $30 an hour to owning your own multi-million-dollar business worth millions of dollars, that's quite the transformation. And that's really kind of a common success story we hear with our pros. On average, they'll be growing 30% year over year after they implement Housecall Pro. And it's because they're just more efficient. They're more streamlined. They're not letting customer quotes slide through the cracks. They're not missing and making silly dispatch decisions and sending, Michael to one end of the city and Roland to the other, and then swapping them in the middle of the day. It doesn't make any sense. And so those are simple things that software can help with.
really, so it sounds like it's really your hub of operations for everything you're doing for your contracting business. And I think the couple of other newer features that you mentioned with integrating payroll, I mean that is huge, as well as the call answering after hours. That is something that a lot of people that may not have their own business uh, don't understand, is that when you're running your own company 24/7, it's something that can be on your mind and can be all consuming. So I think at the end of the day, having the option to have something like that, to be able to take a break, spend some time with your family, enjoy the other important aspects of life, because that's so important. So I guess that leads me to a big question.
Sure.
Where did the original idea for the solution come from?
Sure. Yeah. So my co-founder Ian, he was the CEO when we started out, and his father was a painter, and so he grew up, in the back of his dad's truck. And his dad was that old school guy that wouldn't hire anybody. He took a lot of pride in his work, and he did every single piece of work, and he just saw what kind of a grind it was. And so, as kind of that story unfolded, we just saw a big opportunity here to provide this mobile solution for folks that aren't, sitting in an office. These are folks that don't have time to, push buttons and just type things out. And how can we make it really easy? And so for us, when we first started, it was really designed for that owner operator, that person that was just on the go. And then as we matured as a company, we started building out the full web product for people that have an operation where they have CSRs, they have call answers, they have production managers and those types of folks in the office, as well as technicians out in the field. And so that's kind of how it organically grew. And like I mentioned, we've got some things like payroll and in the call answering solution. And but we've really focused a lot also on the financial health of these companies, because when you're using Housecall Pro, we know so much about your business. We can offer you all kinds of great things. We've got business lending. So if you need to have money to buy that next truck, but you're in the middle of your low season, so you just don't have the cash flow like you normally have in the high season, we can lend you money. We also offer consumer financing. So there should be no reason why you offer your quotes without consumer financing. Allow them to pay the way that they want to pay. And if they want to split it up into payments, just use the consumer financing, because you never know what someone's financial situation is like. No one's prepared for that water heater to break and has, $5,000 just saved up in cash, ready to write a check. And so, some of these financial solution tools that we have, like business lending, like consumer financing, like expense cards. So rather than having, your technician Joe just using petty cash to go buy gas and then a couple Snicker bars,
Yep.
those things start to eat in a road at your bottom line. And so these things all integrate into one thing. So it's a lot more than just software. There's a services component, there's this financial component. And so really this full suite of tools is something that, when we started the company, we wish we could offer, to home service professionals, so they don't have to go to a million different places. And that alone just saves so many hours, that, I can't imagine, having to run a home service business the old way.
Yeah, and it sounds like obviously scheduling, dispatching, handling estimates, all of those foundational components are clearly something that any service professional needs. But it sounds like a lot of the value added offerings are something, like you said, that you had hoped you would have been able to do in the early days, but obviously the solution has grown and matured. And I think they say 6 months on the internet is like a decade in any other industry. So clearly, you guys are all dogs. But it sounds like you have a lot of. It sounds like the solution has matured to the point where, scaling all the way up to 40,000 different professionals using the solution now and continuing to grow is an amazing accomplishment. So.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think, the 40,000 businesses that we help, we actually have hundreds of thousands of professionals that work in those businesses, and they're doing double-digit billions dollars worth of work, in the economy. So with that, we're really proud to be able to say that the foundational infrastructure of this country, is really running on our software, and we're able to help that along. And what's been interesting is, because we focus primarily on the residential side of things, we also have a commercial side to the software too. And a lot of our pros will have their foundation set in the residential service business, but they'll also do light commercial work. They'll also add some commercial accounts too. And those are a little more steady and predictable, less seasonal. but they also have really difficult cash flow implications versus a consumer. You're not leaving the house without them paying you. And so
Right.
that's when you have kind of that instant. And so, with our software, our pros are able to balance, that unique seesaw there to help leverage themselves into faster growth. And so we see that trend continuing and us continuing to build tools there. And at the same time, we're building out, we now have a coaching program as well. A lot of our pros, they are fantastic tradesmen and women, but they might not have the business acumen. They never went to business school. And so, our coaching program helps them understand what's a P&L, what's a balance sheet, what should I be looking for when I'm running, accounts receivable or accounts payable. We have an accounting and bookkeeping solution built into Housecall Pro 2 now. So if they want to take advantage of that, they can start to really consolidate so many of the different things. And so it's a lot more than just a field service management app, which makes it hard, when we're out there marketing and talking about Housecall Pro, because it's just so many things to describe and we fit into so many different categories.
Yeah. No, I understand. And obviously a lot of America, a lot of the world is running on QuickBooks. Is that still an option for companies that are using Housecall Pro, and how does that fit
Yeah.
into the whole?
Yeah, so we have a QuickBooks Online integration as well as a QuickBooks Desktop integration for those folks that have outside accountants that use those platforms. And then for pros that are looking for something simpler and a lot more affordable and just kind of all-in-one suite, we offer our own accounting solution, our own bookkeeping solution as well. So depending on how you want to do it, Housecall Pro's got the options to do it. I would say there's two extra things that we have that really allow us to work within any kind of workflow. One, it's our Zapier connection. So Zapier is a great platform that allows you to connect pieces of software together without any coding experience. It's a truly no-code environment where you can take data in and take data out. A lot of great triggers and actions. And then two is we have an open API. So for our max level accounts, you can generate an API key and you can transfer data in and out of Housecall Pro very easily. A lot of our pros work with marketing consultants and other developers that they find to connect different pieces of software that they still like to use. Sometimes inventory management solutions, sometimes routing solutions. Sometimes they just have, really fancy task management solutions with like Asana or a Monday, and they want the two softwares to talk to one another. And so with our Zapier connection, with our API that's open for our Max accounts, it really gives our pros the flexibility to make sure that all their cloud software is talking to one another. And that's super important because there's nothing worse than data entry. And so,
Yes,
for
absolutely.
our pros, our mission is to champion all of our pros to success. That means no more paperwork, no more data entry, all these obnoxious things that they used to have to do. And so as long as we keep focusing on that mission, then our software is going to continue evolving and adding different things to really start taking loads off of our pros so they can really focus on what they do best.
So if I were an existing pro with whatever I have now that I'm using to run my business, and I want to
Sure.
transition from where I am to Housecall Pro, it
Sure.
sounds like Housecall Pro, really almost like a Swiss Army knife, has everything that I could possibly need. So if I were starting from scratch and I just jumped into Housecall Pro, I have everything I need. I don't need to look anywhere else. But the reality of it is a lot of professionals that might be listening to our segment now may have some other things pulled together to make their business run the way it is. And
Sure.
it sounds like there's a lot of efficiencies and all that can be, attained by coming over to the platform. Is there a best practice that you might suggest for getting up and running quickly without, disrupting day-to-day operations? What is the right path?
Yeah, so depending on your company size and depending on where all your data is currently stored, there's a lot of different ways to get onboarded with Housecall Pro super quick. One of the differentiators for us is just how fast, easy, and simple we are. And so we have a data onboarding team. So as you go through the sign up process with us, we'll discover kind of where that data is housed. And our data migration team will be able to help you get that data straight into Housecall Pro. If you really boil it down to what it means is, what's your customer database and what's your customer history? Those things are the two most important pieces of sets of data that you want to get. Depending on where they're housed, it can be as simple as Some folks already use QuickBooks Online with some other piece of software. Just hook QuickBooks Online with Housecall Pro and we'll completely reconstruct your customer database and customer history just by connecting to QuickBooks Online. So that's the easiest way to get your data into Housecall Pro.
Wow.
If you have your data anywhere else, a simple CSV or Excel kind of export, all we do is we match those columns to the columns in our database, and we're able to pull in all that data as well. So depending on whether your data is already structured because it's already in another software or it's kind of unstructured, we've got the data help team to make it super easy to be able to pull all of that back in right in Housecall Pro. So you can get started, in literally days. A lot of smaller companies that are brand new, they get started same day. You can literally just start on. And then a lot of folks too, they'll just get started. And then as they're, kind of working their day-to-day operations, they're just backfilling that data in. And so there's multiple different ways to run it. Regardless of what software you're coming from, we've got a solution for you to get that data back in. But getting set up and started and easy, that onboarding process is days, not months, like some of the other folks that are out there that make it super complex.
So can you kind of walk me through from, let's take a hypothetical of a plumber, because I guess that might be a very straightforward scenario.
Sure.
So from the moment the initial opportunity or lead comes in until the service call is made, invoiced, and everything's finalized, can you kind of walk us through what that looks like using Housecall Pro? Is there, at the very beginning, is there like a lead generation or anything on that end of it, or how does it all come together?
Sure. So I'll just give you kind of a probably like a story here. So,
Sure.
We've got pros that start with us that don't even have a website. So we've got a website team that will actually build out a website for you that has all of our widgets and tools built out on it. That includes our online booking, our chat widget, our VoIP function, which is our dialer. All that exists on that website. Our reviews widget, which helps you get more reviews online, that also shows up there. And once that website's created, that's typically where the lead starts. So someone will hear something word of mouth, and maybe someone overhears Michael saying something about Joe the plumber at a dinner party.
Yeah.
They go online, they look at Joe the plumber in Boston. Boom, their website shows up. They like the way it looks. It's personalized. They can see the picture of Joe and his family and his trucks on there. They input their homeowner information there, and automatically that goes into Housecall Pro's pipeline tool. So that's where the lead starts, and that's where the automations start. And so as soon as that lead comes in, automated texts and emails will come in. If it's booked online, then it's more of a job, not so much a lead, because they can literally book it online with a price. Typically with a plumber, that end up being a service call, at a time, and it automatically looks at what time is available in the calendar for which technician that you configured it for, depending on what area you want them to service. So that comes in. Once that comes in, if you have office staff, they might give that homeowner a call, or you don't necessarily need to. You can use our Housecall Pro Assist function. If you want to receive a phone call. Once that comes in, they'll send out, Joe the technician at whatever time it is. When they send them out, that's when we'll send the on my way text notifications. So you'll get a little picture of the plumber that's coming on their way. It'll give you their ETA. You can click on the link so you can see their truck on the road over to you. So this end consumer experience is really, really good for the homeowner. It's very Uber-like, I might say.
Sure.
And so once the plumber comes out there, the plumber has the ability to go out there for a service call. They can go diagnose the issue. Once they figure out what it is, our tool has the ability to generate a proposal, which allows the pro to give a good, better, best scenario. Oftentimes, homeowners will have kind of one of two options. One is just like fix it and put a Band-Aid on it, or one, let's replace it and do it right. And so, obviously there's different options available for the pro to offer and the consumer, the homeowner, to pick. So we've got the tool for that. If they need the financing, they can do that. The plumber will typically have their parts on the truck. If not, they can schedule a future date if it's a really big thing. If they have to do a sewer repipe or something like that. And then once the job gets done, the pro can take pictures of the work they've done. They're able to attach that to the invoice. They can send it to the homeowner right away. We've got a cool little a tap to touch module that allows the pro to get payment out in the field. Just with credit card, if the consumer didn't use or the homeowner didn't use, one of our financing products. and closes out the call. After that, we'll automatically go get the review from the homeowner after the job is done. And that allows the pro to start building up their digital presence even more, which gives them more SEO, which helps more people get to their website, which helps them get more service calls. And as you can see, this little loop just keeps building and building. And there's nothing better than, the laws of compounding. And that works in both finance, but it also works in reviews and having that reputation online. And that just continues to build. And that's why our pros are able to get that growth rate of 30%, year over year as they continue to grow, because it just continues to reinforce the way that their business is presented online.
Yeah, and I'm sure so many of the pros listening to this segment are saying to themselves, "Boy, I can't tell you how many times a week I have somebody calling to offer to set up a website for me." And the reality of it is, why would you set up an isolated silo, when you can actually, have that full circle, all the way from the beginning to the end of the job, following up on the reviews, because from an SEO standpoint, the local reviews and having an optimized site are the most important detail for a local service professional to growing their business and getting to the top of the results. So that is really amazing that you have everything in the one solution.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the original, mission that we have for the company, is championing our pros to success. And so there's so many different touch points, so many different things that you need to be talking to one another, that within our all-in-one tool, they all talk to one another. And they're not separate silos, like you mentioned. You don't need to have another marketing company that you're paying $1,000 a month for. Our websites are, starting at $99 a month, going a little bit up from there. But, all these things put together and talking together, there's so much time efficiency that's there. And then everything syncs, everything moves. There's no data entry. It's all streamlined. It's all being followed up on. Nothing is falling through the cracks. A lot of our pros, they'll show me their Apple Notes and they're like, yeah, this is where I kind of keep track on who I should kind of follow up with. I'm like, what? How can you even do that? I would get lost. Our tool will just automatically send out the follow-up email after the quote. It'll send the follow-up text if you don't reply in 1 week. And sometimes you have to do that. You have to, follow up 5, 6, 7 times. And then the homeowner goes, okay, yep, now it's good, because they're busy too. And if you're able to automate some of those things, there's a lot less stuff that will fall through the cracks.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I know everything that you just talked about so eloquently and made it sound so simple is all of the details that any home service professional had always had on their to-do list that they had hoped that one day they could get to done. But the reality of it is that look at how many years it's taken your company, and this is what you do, to get to the point where you can provide this offering. The reality of one individual company being able to do this, seamlessly is really very, very challenging. So I think
That's the beauty of software. We've spent hundreds of millions in R&D, and so that allows us to offer a product at a low monthly cost. We're only successful because there's no contracts if you're successful, which means you continue to pay us a low monthly fee. And because of that, we're able to increase and, add more features and functionality to our core software that allows you to be more successful, that allows us to help more pros. But there's no way anybody can kind of build this themselves, as a small local business. But software is great because, we can service as many people as want our help. We don't have an inventory. We don't have a warehouse. We can just flip a switch and boom, all of a sudden your account's up and running.
So let me go back to something you said. Did you say that a lot of your pros see the growth of their business at 3% per year or 30%?
30% on average. Yeah. And so, that's a growth rate that, when they start using all of our products and suite of tools, they can kind of continue throughout the years.
That's just crazy. So at the end of the day, they better have the right management skills in place, and obviously it's a very important aspect. And I think with, as you had mentioned, your community and the mastermind and all of that, obviously a great way to develop all of that. And it kind of leads me to another question. not just in the home services industry, but a lot of the soft skills necessary to bring up like this next generation of 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 the workforce, are really a big question mark. Are there areas in which, as an organization, Housecall Pro is kind of reinvesting back into the community to help, some of
Sure.
the members bring
Yeah,
these soft skills to light?
yeah, that's a great question, Michael. So, we have our Trade Academy program, which does annual scholarships for folks that are looking to get into the trades. And because historically, people have been told, oh, the only way to be successful is to get that college degree. We have an undersupply of skilled tradespeople. And so because of that, we've invested in the scholarship that gives, 20 students $2,500 they could go spend towards tools, tech, tuition, whatever they want to help them kind of further their career into the trades. So we support a lot of trade schools in giving them the ability to have that and offer that on a yearly basis. And so, actually in the coming month, we'll announce our 2023 winners, which I think right now there's 50 finalists that are getting judged to the 20 finalists or the end winner group. And so
Neat.
that's super exciting and something we kind of continue to invest in, because we think there needs to be more folks out there that understand being in the trades is a very viable career, and in fact often much more lucrative than the traditional path, which has been laid in front of us for so long, which is, oh, you got to do a 4-year thing, go into heavy debt, then come out of school with a $40,000 a year job, with $100,000 loan debt. And so none of that has to happen. There's active positions, there's home service companies, and they will continue to happen. And I would say the other thing now, especially with AI coming about, and we can talk a little bit about that, the skilled professions that are out and about doing work at people's homes, that is something that you can't go build AI around, at least in not 50 years. Maybe we'll have robots down the road that are doing all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff,
exactly.
but by that time we got to think about something else. But I'd say in today's world, those things are skills that cannot be taken away. Whereas anyone that's working a desk job that's on a computer all day, those are the first jobs, that will definitely need to start getting retooled and reskilled. Whereas, the need for a plumber and the basic, shelter, roof, house, water, those types of things, never go away.
Yeah,
And
they're
so
foundational, obviously.
they're foundational. And so, for us, that's why we like supporting Trade Academy. And it's also one of the reasons why we're investing really heavily right now R&D on our own AI that lives within Housecall Pro that can further help our pros. So that's the future for us.
That's really exciting. And in fact, we actually have, so weekly we have our webinars for our community, and we actually have a webinar coming up April 17th. It's training our future workforce, teaching students the skills they need to succeed. So, that's really exciting. And I think a lot of people listening to the segment may tune in for that. I know I can hear people saying, show us the solution already. I don't know if you have a screen share that maybe you could share a tab with us and give us just a high level demo of the solution, or?
I would say the best way to do it is if you go to our website, just housecallpro.com, and you sign up for a demo, because each demo we do is individualized for each student or each pro. Sorry.
Sure.
And so when they come in, if you're an HVAC or a plumber, we'll be able to show you an instance that's completely configured to look
How
like
it
what
would be used. Okay.
it would actually be used. Because if we just show an empty demo home, you're going to see it without any furniture, without any
Yeah, makes
decoratings and
sense.
furnishing. We're like, all right, it's an empty home, and it's a harder time to actually visualize what it would look
Makes
like.
a lot of sense.
But
So what we'll do is
yeah,
we'll leave a link in the show notes for anybody
that's right.
that wants to do a individualized demo. And I think that a lot of times having the hands-on, and you can talk about something, you can kind of get a high-level idea of it, but seeing it yourself is huge. So that is a great opportunity.
I would
And
definitely recommend it. And if you feel like you're tech savvy enough, you don't have to do a demo with us. There's a lot of other folks that'll force you to sit with somebody that has to hold your hand. We've got a lot of our pros that are self-starters that just get going with our product right away. As soon as you sign up, you're actually in the product and you've got a free trial, and you can go bang around on things and click around on things. And then at the same time, if you feel like you want a little extra insight and you want to see kind of that fully fleshed out home, with all the furnishings in it, we can show you that as well. And so for us, remember, Housecall Pro is super simple, really easy, all in one tool. And we're really here to help, champion your success. And so if you want some hand holding, we can do that. We can show you the demo. If you want to try it out yourself, you can just try it out yourself, create an account, click some buttons, or maybe a combination of both. Yeah, either way, whichever path you want to take, it's super simple. And our pricing's transparent. It's just right there on our website.
and that's a great question. So you mentioned, being able to use the solution in the field. Is it an actual mobile app, like an Android or an Apple app,
Yep.
or is it
Yeah.
the site, or how does it work?
Yeah, so we have native apps, which means they're
Okay.
just like any other app you have on their phone. And then we also have a web version, which is traditionally used for desktops, but you can also use that on tablets. We have a lot of pros that have iPads or just Android tablets out there on the field as well, especially like in their truck, in their command station. So no matter what piece of technology you bring, Housecall Pro will work on. And whether you've got personal phones, company phones, it doesn't matter. It'll work on all of them. And so, we can advise you if you want to make a change there, what platforms we recommend. But regardless of what you have, Housecall Pro will work.
Now, I noticed with some of the marketing offerings that you have, you still even have the option for old school, postcard mailings and things like that. So it sounds like, you have everything from digital to offline methods as different ways that they can engage with clients.
Yeah, that's right. So for our pros, we think offering a multi-channel approach to marketing is very important, and that includes medium. And so with our new marketing center that's currently in beta that we're rolling out soon, you've got the ability to send, texts to all of your customers to remind them, hey, here's an annual tune-up, as well as sending out email to all your client, and then postcards as well. And so if you're able to do that, you can cut through the noise, which, traditionally is hard to do. And you'd have to string together a whole bunch of different vendors, and you'd have to go to the post office, and you'd have to go find a print guy, and then you'd have to do mailing. And so all of that is just in-house for Housecall Pro. And if you get those things set up, those are things that kind of build up that compounding cycle.
And that's interesting because the two of the things you mentioned there, the email marketing and the text marketing, um, clearly, for years the way it was done, you just grabbed your email list and you sent emails out. But now there's a lot of compliance and there's a lot of new standards, with like SPF and DKIM and Google and different changes to email marketing. And
Mhm.
clearly the way Housecall Pro is doing things is compliant. But another area that it's super hard to, as an individual business owner, dot all the I's and cross the T's. So that's a huge advantage. And the same thing with marketing by text, offering the opt-in, the opt-out, offering, people compliant texting and all of that. That's really big.
That's right. Yep. And so within Housecall Pro, we take care of all that for you. And also, the most difficult thing about marketing is actually building out your audience, because you want to send the right message at the right time to the right folks. And so just blasting out something to all of your people, or blasting something out to your entire newsletter, that's very early 2000s. Now you can sub-segment and you can say, hey, I want to send this reminder to everybody who I serviced 3 years ago, but I haven't serviced in the last year. Okay, that's a pool of 400 people. Let's send them a very specific message. And so when you do that, it really helps you connect with those customers, not only because it's the right message to the right people at the right time, but also because you're going to get higher open rates because it's more relevant. And that's just going to continue helping your deliverability when you take a look at that from a software perspective. And so when you combine those things together, it's very powerful. And it's very hard to do if you're using other tools. You have to do those audiences manually. You have to go build them out. You have to make sure tags are syncing across systems. It's a headache. And so with Housecall Pro, we make that super easy, all to make sure we champion our pros to success.
So if you were to say, maybe like a handful of features that you feel really differentiate Housecall Pro from other solutions that are out there, could you highlight a couple that you think?
Sure. I would say the biggest differentiator is that you get it all in one, because with other solutions, you're going to be missing different components and you're going to have to string together extra things that are missing. So with Housecall Pro, you really only have to come to us. We're the one-stop shop. Now, I'll say the other differentiator is because we have different business solutions, where we offer services like bookkeeping, like answering your phone call for you. It's more than just software. So if you're looking at other software, you're just looking at software. But with Housecall Pro, it's this all-in-one business suite, a tool that offers so many other things. And so when you take a look at us, I'd say from the financial services side of our business that allows you to get lending, to track your money, to get money really quick with our InstaPay feature, to offer consumer financing. And then you couple that with the back-end operational side of the software, which allows you to do scheduling, dispatching, invoicing, all those things super easy, proposals really nice. And then the front end of the house, from our websites, our chat tool, our online booking, those things strung together is really that competitive advantage. And the cherry on top is our community. When you join our community, you join our Facebook group with 22,000, 23,000 or so other pros, and they're talking about Housecall Pro all day long. And so rather than learning by yourself, you can just ask another plumber from another zip code, from another city, that maybe is a couple more $1 million a year in revenue ahead of you. How did they do it? What tags are they doing? What lead sources are they seeing that's working? And so, Housecall Pro, that underlying tool, plus our community together, along with our coaching, those are kind of all the things you need to set yourself up for success, not just from the nitty gritty doing it, but also the emotional side of it and the accountability and coaching side of it. And so if you're looking for that, Housecall Pro is going to be a great fit. If you want to use a bunch of different tools that are all point solutions, you can still use Housecall Pro via our API, via our Zapier integration, or you can go build out your own thing. But I'd say, the efficiency you gain by having it all under one roof, that gain is just so massive. That's why people use Housecall Pro, and because it's simple and easy to use. So if you're interested, the best way is go get that demo or play around with it yourself. You just go to housecallpro.com, and there'll be a link in the show notes here as well.
Yeah, one of the features that really jumped off the page at me was the property profiles. Where could you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that is a really big feature.
Sure. With property profiles, you can think of it as like equipment tracking. And when you're in, the house, especially if you're installing things, it's really important that you're annotating the serial numbers, codes, the date last serviced of these units, so that you keep track of those things. Because the reality is you have, homeowners as your client, but also the homes are your client, because people will change homes every 5 to 7 years. And so wouldn't it be nice if when, your new trainee comes in there, they can see all the notes, they can see all the photos, they can see everything that the previous technician did. And so those are just simple ways that, you save your office so many hours of back and forth talking to a senior tech and a junior tech and getting them connected, and no one knows where the notes went. So, with property profile, you've got the ability to attach, these items to a home so that you can see what was done last time, and what unit service, what's the warranty number, what's the serial number. It makes it very easy. And this is inevitably one day, as you think about what's your exit planning, if you go to sell the business, or, maybe pass it down to your kids, this is something that has an immense amount of value, because no one else has this data but you.
Yeah, no, that really struck a chord with me as a very unique feature, and just like you highlighted there, clearly the individuals in that home are your clients, but the home itself is it's an opportunity for you to follow the home, from one transition to the next, and all of that.
That's right. That's right.
And can you talk a little bit about, just at a high level, what you see as trends within this segment of the industry, what you see happening?
Yeah, I think the biggest trend now is how do you bring AI into the mix? And so for us at Housecall Pro, we think a lot about, if you use a Housecall Pro without, touching any buttons, what would you do? Why why do you have to create your own report to figure out how much I have to pay Michael in commission in the month of January for all the water heaters he installed? Why can't you just ask AI, hey, how much do I need to pay Michael for the month of January? I've got to pay him 10% commission on everything he sold. AI can do that for you. And so as we see the trend, especially right now, which is like, how do you build this essentially like an office manager, CSR, business analyst in a box that you can just talk to at any point to help you with your business. And so because all that data resides within Housecall Pro, you can query your own data with AI on top. And so there's kind of that's the reactive approach, and then there's the proactive approach, which is we can see, hey, you know what, maybe you're underpricing on your proposal. We bumped it up an extra 10% because in this zip code, you're pricing below your average. And would you like to accept that? Yeah, of course. And now all of a sudden, Michael, the deep pockets Boston man, is paying a little bit more for the service they offer, because it is more expensive to do business in his neighborhood, right? And so those types of things are a very proactive approach to where AI can really take us and help make sure our pros are always successful.
Yeah, and that's something we're seeing, not just within the home services segment, but across all industries. I think the ability for AI to draw insight from large sets of data is, especially unstructured data, is really just amazing. And I think the companies that do embrace it, will have the opportunity to, to get ahead and all of that. So I think it's really, really exciting to see you're implementing that in the solution. And is there a recent feature or two that you've released, or a feature or two that you have on the roadmap coming up that you're very excited about?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly releasing features and updates. We recently just announced everything that we wrapped up with a bow at the end of December here in January. I'd say our new websites feature is something that if pros aren't taking advantage of, or they're being taken advantage of by a marketing agency, come take a look at that feature, because it really just bundles all the things onto your page, makes it super seamless, very easy to use. Something more specific that we've launched is our estimate templates, which allows our pros to configure these pre-built out packages and bundles so that their technicians out there aren't building their own pricing and their own custom packages. And so with that, it makes it really easy to offer quicker, good, better, best straight from the mobile app. And so that makes it so that all the job costing, all the margins are built in correctly. So you don't have to worry about Johnny out there bidding out a job that's unprofitable. So that's a very specific feature. But I'd say by and large, when we take a look at our new bill pay features and our expense cards, being able to monitor all your money in and out with your vendors is super important. And then being able to tie that to jobs is something that really makes sure that when you're out there doing the work, you're not leaving money on the table or working underwater. And so, with Housecall Pro, because those pieces are all connected, those are two great features. I think we just started with our 1% cash back on our expense cards. So you even get a little bit of extra money back. Plus, you've got the ability to limit and control Joey, so you can only use that card at Home Depot or like an approved supplier, rather than just taking it to Target and going shopping with his family. So, not saying all technicians do that. Just as a business owner, you might want to have the control to do that.
Well, I think the
Coming
Snicker
up here,
bars might be a bigger challenge.
yeah, well, we're launching dash cams, and why are we launching dash cams? Is integrated Housecall Pro because it's important to see where your trucks are at. It's important to make sure they're not driving crazy. It's important to make sure that they're safe. And also because you probably have wrapped trucks, you're a little bit of a target. People know that you're a company. And so having a dash cam, makes it super simple to make sure, your guys aren't doing side jobs on the weekend. And then during work hours that they're protected, you can keep track of one of your biggest assets to your business. You invest a lot into your trucks, not just the trucks themselves, but all the tools and inventory inside of those trucks. These are hundreds of thousands of dollars rolling on four wheels that you got to keep track of. And so with our new dash cams feature, we'll be able to help you with that. And which is more than just the vehicle tracking, the GPS component that we have now. You can actually see what's happening outside and in the cab as well.
That's really exciting. So let me ask you, for any of our listeners that are looking to get up and running with Housecall Pro, clearly, going through that self-guided demo or hands-on demo with one of your, um, you know, team is a great way to get going. But how do they decide which version of the solution to go with? Are there different uh, packages or different options to getting started?
Sure. The biggest thing I recommend is once you get on with one of our product experts, we can help identify in what stages you want to implement what pieces into your business. Because if you think you're going to implement all these things all at once, it's going to be very difficult. And so when you talk to one of our product experts, you'll have the opportunity to kind of identify those tools and add-ons that'll make it super easy for you to get up and running. And then at what point you want to start adding those different pieces. And then so depending on the industry, depending on your needs, we can kind of put this thing together. We've got our pricing and packaging just available online, just so you can kind of get a feel of what it would cost. And then as you mature and add more features and really start building out this integrated approach, we've got our success advisors and our product experts that can help you kind of put together that package for you.
Okay, great. And clearly the product is in the cloud, so it scales nicely. But can you give an example of like the size companies? Is
Sure.
a one person too small, or is like
No,
a
so
500
that's
person
a
company too big? What would be,
Yeah, that's a
scale?
great thing that you bring up, Michael. So Housecall Pro really works great for the people that are just getting started. We call them the zero size, where they're maybe doing some work on the side, or they're doing it on the weekends and nights. And then we scale up perfectly to any business doing $10 million or more. So it's really that $0 to $10 million a year type of business that we focus on and that we target. And that represents 95% of all tradespeople, in the United States. We have some larger companies too that use our software, and they like to use it because it's a lot better than their antiquated processes they used before.
Sure.
Or there's other software out there that is just very, very expensive and unnecessarily so. And those owners want to, save a little bit of extra money kind of on the bottom line. So for us, if your home service businesses, between that $0 to $10 million range, it's a perfect fit. HVAC, plumbers, mechanical, anything garage door related is great. Handyman, cleaning companies, septic, lawn care, pool care, pest control, wildlife control. We've got all kinds of home service businesses. If you deliver a service at someone's home, you can use Housecall Pro.
Neat. And I loved your analogy to the solution being like the Uber of the house call industry. That's great.
That's right. That's the end customer experience, is to just make an experience for your customer that they didn't expect.
Nice. And then the last question, as far as regions, is the solution better for different regions of the world or country, or where do you see
Yeah,
clients using the solution?
Housecall Pro is available in the United States and Canada, and so if you're within within that big geographic bounds, you can use Housecall Pro.
Okay, great. So that's exciting. Well, anyways, I really appreciate your taking the time out to join us and answer some very detailed questions that I know a lot of our community members are wondering. So that's really helpful. And as I mentioned, we'll leave a link in the show notes for anyone that would like to take a test drive. Is there a free trial period or something like that for people getting started, or how does that work?
There is. If you just go to housecallpro.com, you can get up and running right away. If you want to do demo, you can do that as well. So whatever path you want to take, we're flexible. We're software. Everything we do is month to month. If you want to pay us a year in advance, you can and get a little extra savings. But most of our customers just pay us month to month, and we're here and we've been growing because our customers get a lot of value of what we do, and we make sure that they're successful. So if that sounds like something you want to take a look at, you can visit us at our website. And Michael, I'm sure you're going to have a link on your site as well that
Absolutely.
lets them get over there.
All right. So, Roland Lightberg, thank you for joining us from Housecall Pro. And coming up on our next episode of Software Spotlight, we have Dustin House. He's an entrepreneur and partnerships expert who founded Affistash, an AI-powered solution that helps brands efficiently discover, vet, and recruit affiliate partners at scale. Leveraging proprietary technology and analytics, Affistash automates tedious manual tasks like sourcing and outreach, so partnership managers can focus on building meaningful relationships that drive incremental sales through their partnerships. So be sure to visit softwareoasis.com to access our free weekly newsletter and sign up for our upcoming webinar series.